Welcome back. Time for our GMC Sierra Tweet of the Night, and it comes from the Pirates. And how fitting during Yinzer-Palooza. Thanks for stopping by, Donnie. And if you aren't familiar, of course, that is King Cool himself. That's Donnie Iris singing the national anthem at tonight's game in front of the fifth, or I should say the biggest crowd that we've seen at a regular season game at PNC Park since April of 2015. 39,530 fans took that game in tonight, and the Pirates come back to beat the Phillies 8-7. Josh Taylor, Suzie Cool joining me in the KDKA Radio AM 1020 newsroom. Suzie, we talked about what the Pirates did in this game, and of course, they've got a chance to overtake the Phillies in this series, but the thing that sticks out further to me, they gained a half game on the Cardinals. Their game tonight was postponed, so they did not get to play this evening. You're talking a game and a half behind St. Louis, who have the second wild card spot, and they come to town in a few days. This is the thing that sits in front of you right now. That's the dish that's on the table that they have the opportunity to get their hands on if they can get a series win against the Phillies and come in and face the Cardinals coming in and doing some damage. And they'll have Mitch Keller on the mound for that first game. They'll have Paul Skeens for the second game. Things are lining up really well.
Yeah, and you and I were texting today, and we were talking about, are people upset that Paul Skeens isn't starting against the Philadelphia Phillies?
Right.
Well, to be honest with you, let him start against somebody like the St. Louis Cardinals that is keeping this wild card race really tight here in the NL, right? You want our best pitchers to go against people that we have to gain ground on. So Mitch Keller and Paul Skeens going against the Cardinals makes sense right now. However, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record all night. If they're going to come off of either a series sweep or at least win the series against the Phillies, then I'm going to have no doubt that the Pirates can stay hot whenever it comes to going against the St. Louis Cardinals. And I think it's just maybe, and I was thinking about this earlier, is it just because they had that little bit of a break? So now they're coming back a little refreshed, and, they're coming off of a break where they swept a team before they had a couple of days off. You don't know what it could be, but if they're going to be juiced up, right now is the perfect time to do it.
I was thinking about this when that opening weekend rotation was announced coming out of the All-Star break, and we didn't see Paul Skeens. And I started adding up the different factors in my head. One, he was going to get a whole week since he pitched in the All-Star game. You look at that and you say, okay, at least he's coming in a lot fresher coming in against the Cardinals. But then you say, wait a minute, they're facing the Cardinals, the team they need to catch in the wild card race, and he's behind Mitch Keller. You feel like Derek Shelton knew what he wanted to do as far as trying to keep at least that postseason race out in front as the thing that they are trying to do at the moment. Let's go to Jerry in Franklin. Jerry, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Suzie. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, a couple of points, if I might. I've been watching the OPS on the Pirates for much of the year, and for a long time we didn't have anybody above 700, maybe a couple of guys above 700, and now we've got 6 or 7, and I think .708 is what a major leaguer, they say the average major leaguer should be above that.
Replacement level, and agreed.
The OPS has been climbing with these guys. It's been awesome. And then the second thing is I noticed Rowdy Tellez, his line today for the game, 1 at bat, no runs, no hits, 3 RBIs, 3 sac flies, and what a great bit of situational hitting.
3 sacrifice flies. Thanks for the call. Derek Shelton talked about this after the game. He dropped a little joke. He says he's sure Jim Trudenich loved hearing that because he's a big fan of Pirates history. Jim Trudenich, of course, longtime Pirates media relations director, one of the best in the business. But he loves to drop those little tidbits of history. But Shelton was right. The way Tellez approached that situation, every single time he was in it, he still managed to deliver a run and get it across the plate. In those situations, you get the ball to the outfield by any means necessary, preferably a deep fly ball to get that run in. And Suzie, he did it 3 times and got 3 runs across.
Yeah, and that was funny whenever I was looking at everybody's lines too, right? Something that's going to stick out to you is Andrew McCutchen getting 3 hits, Brian Reynolds getting 3 hits. You're going to think of Nick Gonzalez hitting in that go-ahead run. However, Rowdy Tellez, whenever you look at his line, you're like, okay, he had 1 at bat. What else did he do? Well, he had 3 sacrifice flies that knocked in 3 runs for the game. So whether the stat sheet really says it or not, Rowdy Tellez went out there and he did the job tonight, and he's been doing the job. And this is somebody that you and I have harped on this season.
Yes.
However, we have to make the argument right now that Rowdy Tellez is doing what he needs to do to help this Pirates team win.
You can look at the top 5 spots in that order. Those guys went a combined 10 for, if my math is correct, 10 for 19, and they drove in 8 runs with 2 walks. That's what the top 5 guys in your order did in this game tonight. How often do we talk about how your best guys need to be your best guys? And when they are, it makes all the difference as to how you can win games. And those guys, Tellez, from McCutchen, Reynolds, Cruz, Gonzalez, and Tellez, they all had a huge hand in how this game turned out. Jim and Peters, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Yeah, how you doing, both of you? Got a little laryngitis, but I can't help but call.
Go for it.
This reminds me of the 1960 Buccos, Battling Buccos. Never give up, never give up. And you know what? Phillies have a rookie pitching on Sunday. Yeah, they do. So I never thought without Skeens and Keller pitching that they could possibly win 2 out of 3, but it looks good now.
It really looks good now. Thanks for the call. I talked about this before. I thought the game tomorrow will be the one they can win with Ortiz on the mound. I thought Sunday could be the one that goes either way. Susie, this looks really, really good in their favor with Ortiz starting tomorrow. And like he mentioned, a rookie starting tomorrow against Philly. I think things look really heavily in the Pirates' favor. But then again, this is still the best team in baseball. They still got some of the best hitters that we're going to run into probably this season in that lineup. So let's not count our chickens just yet. We got to take another break. When we come back, we got to talk more about this series before we close out. Stick around. Susie, we got a tweet from Bob who says he's looking forward to the rest of this series against the Phillies. He's hoping for a Pirate sweep. It feels a lot more plausible now than it might have about 4 hours ago, but that's exactly what we're looking at at this particular point. Here's a great question from Ryan. He says, if Martin Perez is to remain in the Pirates rotation, could he be paired with an opener?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is a possibility for Martin Perez if he's to stay in the rotation. However, looking at how he might be able to be that like bulk middle guy for the bullpen too could be an option for the Pirates from here on out. So opener, starter, or maybe just that bulk guy.
Yeah, and we've seen Carmen Mlodzinski be the guy out in front before. We've seen him do that, and I thought Luis Ortiz did a really great job in that bulk role. I was beating the drum for Luis Ortiz to get a shot in the rotation with a couple of injuries that they've had. He's gotten that opportunity with Jared Jones down and Bailey Falter down. I think Ortiz, and I feel really good about Ortiz being on the mound starting tomorrow, by the way. I like their chances there. But yeah, this is one of those things where if they can't have an immediate solution with their injury situation in the next week or two, Susie, they got to try to re-examine what happens with this rotation. Quinn Priester got that opportunity as the bulk guy behind an opener. He did okay. You got to try to find ways to shuffle pieces, because if you want to try to keep, not only if you want to try to keep yourself in the race, but if you want to keep this run that they are on right now going, you got to make sure everything is falling into place with that pitching rotation also.
But again, I think tonight is a really good indication of what the bullpen is capable of.
Yes.
Again, it was just one inning per guy out there. However, 5 relievers went in, did their job, and earned 7 strikeouts along the way, and only gave up 1 run, even though it was earned. You know, Martin Perez was the one who kind of the wheels fell off for him tonight. So if the bullpen can go out and do what they did tonight, and the starters can actually have those solid starts, then that's something that I'm not nervous about. However, I'm going to bring up a point, and I forget the caller's name. Yes, there is a rookie starting for the Phillies on Sunday. However, this is somebody that I did see in Lehigh Valley last year, Tyler Phillips, and he's not all that bad. So that's somebody that you definitely don't want to just take out of the running right now and say the Pirates are going to get a win because he's a rookie. He's 1-0 already on the season, and he did pretty decent. And that would be like saying Weston Wilson, who is in the Phillies lineup tonight, guess what? He's not up there all the time. He's not going to do well. Well, he hit a home run tonight, and he had 3 hits. So don't underestimate the guys that are coming up from Lehigh Valley.
This is what happens when you got a former AAA announcer giving you some inside information. She dropped some good stuff for us. Remember, she was the person that was dropping stuff on us about Bailey Falter earlier in the season. She was right about that. You speak to all of those points being exactly true. Something else I want to drop into on top of that, because I think you made a great point. You talked about the bullpen. Very important to note about tonight. We saw Kyle Nicholas, we saw Santana, we saw Priester, we saw Holderman, we saw Mlodzinski. We did not see Aroldis Chapman, and we did not see David Bednar. So you still have both of those guys available, presumably for each of the next 2 nights if you need to go to those guys. So that's another thing that probably counts in the Pirates' favor as well. We are almost out of time. Suzie Cool, as always, joining us on Friday with great baseball talk as well. We appreciate her joining us. For Suzie Cool, for our producer, Jeremiah Miller, and our team here at KDKA, I'm Josh Taylor saying thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for your phone calls. Thanks for your tweets. As I say often, it is you guys that make this show great, and we are here for you 7 nights a week on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Join us back here tomorrow night. Chris Adamski from the Trib is my guest. I'm sure we will talk more about this Pirates and Phillies series. I imagine we're going to be talking about Steelers training camp starting in a week because Chris Adamski is one of those guys on that beat, so we'll talk about that as well. And we'll be hearing from you then. See you back here tomorrow. Have a good night.